Today we're talking about the triangle midsegment theorem, okay? Now, the paper that you picked up that you got on Friday has a homework assignment at the top. Don't worry about that. That's what we're going to be doing in class on Friday. So do not worry about the homework assignment that might be typed at the top of your paper. Now, if you need additional help, remember the book pages are always right here. Now, first thing, the midsegment theorem for a triangle tells us that the midsegment of a triangle is parallel to the base and has a length half of the length of the parallel side. Once again, that says the midsegment of a triangle is parallel to the base, which means on this triangle, again, that says the midsegment of a triangle is parallel to the base, which means on this triangle, DE would be parallel to AC. And then it has a length that's half as long as the side opposite, or the parallel side, which means that if DE, if we called that length X and AC were Y, then X equals half the length of Y, or 2X equals the length of Y. Okay, now your midsegment is also, it's a segment that bisects both the sides it intersects. So that means it would have to bisect BA and it bisects BC. Now, BC and BA do not have to be the same length. It just has to cut both of those sides in half. Okay, from here, let's do another example. Find X and Y. Well, we can tell that Y is a midsegment because the segment bisects both sides of the triangle that it intersects. So we know that Y is parallel to the length 12. Well, for X, if these two lines are parallel, and remember, you can always extend your lines. If this line is parallel to this line, you can see now that these angles right here are supplementary because they are same side interior, and same side interior angles are always supplementary. So we could say X plus 65 equals 180, subtract 65 from both sides, and X equals 115 degrees. Okay, now Y, we know that Y equals half the length of 12, so Y equals 6. Okay. From here, if we're looking at points A, B, and C, those are all midpoints. That means I'm going to go ahead and mark my picture. Say AY equals AX, XB equals BZ, and CZ equals CY. Okay, now they don't equal each other, but they are midpoints. It tells us that BC is 3M, and XY is 4M plus 10. Find M. Well, if BC bisects both the sides that it intersects, then we know that BC is parallel to XY. We know that BC is a midsegment. So we're looking at this line BC and this line XY right there. We know it's a midsegment. So from here, we can say that we know that twice of the segment BC equals XY. You could also say half of XY equals BC, but in this case, multiplying by 2 would be easier. So 2 times 3M equals 4M plus 10. So 6M equals 4M plus 10. Subtract 4M on both sides. 2M equals 10. So M equals 5. Now, if M equals 5, then it also asks you to find XY. So XY would be 4 times our M is 5 plus 10. 4 times 5 is 20 plus 10. XY would be 30. If you were looking for BC, 3 times 5 would be 15, so the length of BC would be 15. Example 4 tells us that the perimeter of triangle ABC is 30. So if this perimeter is 30, what is the perimeter of triangle XYZ? Well, they did forget to tell you here. ABC, these are all midsegments. So go ahead, add this in. They didn't tell you this, but you know that this is going to be midsegments, okay? Well, a way to figure that out is if AB is a midsegment and we call that length X, this whole length is twice that, so it would be 2X. If BC were a midsegment and we called it Y, then XY would be twice that, so it would be 2Y, okay? If AC were a midsegment, we called that Z, then XZ would be twice that. So if all the side lengths are twice the interior side length, then the perimeter is going to be twice the perimeter. So your perimeter of triangle XYZ would be 60. On example 5, it tells you that exactly one of the values can be determined. Okay, not all of them, but only one can be determined. And the reason only one can be determined is because if you notice this bottom one down here, this bottom segment is not bisected. So this is bisected, which means that B bisected this side length. The right side is bisected, which also means that B bisected that. That tells us that segment B is a midsegment to the base. But now C bisects this side. It does not bisect the bottom. Same thing with A. A bisects the side length 10, but does not bisect the bottom. So A and C are not midsegments. Okay? B is your only midsegment because of the fact that it bisects both the sides that it crosses. So that means we can find that the length B is half of 6 plus 8, which is 14. So B is 7. You would not be able to find A and C because they are not midsegments. From here, this is where we're going to get more into writing the equations that I know y'all love. So write the equation of the line containing the altitude of triangle ABC through vertex B. First thing, you know that an altitude is perpendicular to the opposite side, and it passes through the vertex. Okay, so if we're looking through the vertex B, well, vertex B is at the point -3, -3. Okay, the side opposite it is side AC. Well, we want to find the slope of side AC, which would be, if you counted rise over run, rise 1, 1, 2, 3, run -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. So for rise over run, we would have 3 over -5. Well, now we need the perpendicular slope. So our perpendicular slope is going to be positive 5/3. From here, we're going to use our point and our perpendicular slope to put in point slope form. Our y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So I'm going to go ahead and call my ordered pair x1, y1. My perpendicular slope is my m. So we have y minus my y1 is -3 equals my slope 5/3 times x minus my x1 is -3. From here, minus a negative is plus a positive. So y plus 3 equals 5/3 times x. Well, again, minus a negative is plus a positive. 5/3 times x is 5/3 x. 5/3 times 3 is just going to be plus 5. You go ahead and subtract 3 on both sides. The equation of our altitude is y equals 5/3 x plus 2. Okay? If you were to graph this line, you would say go through B, rise 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 2. You could draw the equation of the line. No, that's not at all what I wanted to do. Well, you could draw the equation of that line through the point, and it would be the perpendicular side. Okay? So, from here, and that's a good way to check your answer.